Well, good morning. Let me begin by saying that this is not a case. This is a complicated story and one of tragedy.
This is how great trial narratives begin, not with facts, but with emotion. The defense is framing this as a tragedy, not a crime. That's deliberate. When jurors feel before they judge, the entire case shifts. Ask yourself, are we being invited to understand or to excuse?
It's about a powerful and enduring friendship that spans the decades. The beginning is Bristol, Tennessee. Annette and Robin are little girls who connect at first sight. Junior high, high school, boys, pictures, yearbooks, and secrets shared. Between them grow pillars of trust, faith, and reliance on each other. They protect each other, and they are bound in their Christian faith with one another. As time rolls on, there are husbands and children, birthdays and cards, evening calls after the children are down. In a short phrase, they loved one another, and like any deep friendship that lasts the test of time, it is not for others to completely understand. Robin and Annette also shared adversities in their lives. Their domestic relationships didn't always work out. Robin had children, suffered domestic abuse, and divorced. Annette married, had children, and divorced. Around November 29th of 2020, Annette, her husband Michael Slattery, and their two young girls traveled from their home in New Jersey to East Tennessee to celebrate Annette's birthday and visit with friends and family. This will be the first time she discloses her secret to Robin. She fears for her life and the life of her children. The object of her fear? Michael Slattery, her own husband. She's found the evidence.
Pause right here. This is legally critical. What's being described isn't evidence of conspiracy. It's the onset of shared delusion. In court, this matters because belief alone does not equal reality. The law asks a harder question. Did anyone test these fears, or did they reinforce them?
She has developed the picture in her mind of Michael being a member of a cabal of child sexual pedophiles who want to kidnap her daughters and are willing to murder Annette in the process. But far from a rejection of this delusional vision, Robin absorbs it, accepts it, believes it to the core. In fact, Robin grows angry at the idea and screams at Annette that she must get away from Michael as he is brainwashing her.
This is what psychologists call mutual reinforcement. Two people feeding the same fear loop until it feels undeniable. For jurors, this moment becomes a fork in the road. Sympathy versus responsibility. Should fear reduce accountability? Or does it increase danger?
Robin has now mobilized and energized Annette to protect herself, to alert law enforcement, and get this man stopped. You know, it is one thing to consider the desperation that Annette must have felt, but quite another to think about how fearful and protective Robin was feeling. Without knowing it, they are now fueling each other's paranoia. In a few days, Annette and the girls will return to New Jersey it will be a short stay. Her suspicions have now grown into a full-blown panic. She and her children cannot remain and be safe. They are in immediate danger, and the man she lives with is at the center of it. She escapes with the children. Her plan is to find a safe place. East Tennessee is the place she knows best. It's home. And East Tennessee is the place where lives the single most important friend she has in this world. The one friend she can trust the most. With very little money, she is able to rent a little place in Rogersville on some farmland. It's fairly isolated. It will provide at least temporary safety from the people who are sure to be coming after her.
Notice the shift here. Once law enforcement is contacted, this stops being private paranoia and enters the legal system. Writing a manifesto to an agent isn't just storytelling. It becomes potential evidence. And evidence doesn't care how sincere you felt when you wrote it.
Over the next weeks, Robin and Annette reunite. They spend nearly every day and many nights together. Robin is drinking rum and coke day and night. Annette only drinks occasionally, but she and Robin smoke weed together, and every day if they have it. They stir in each other an obsession. They share a delusion. This cabal of kidnappers and cult members and pedophiles are coming for Robin and the children. They're coming for them all, and the law needs to know. So they begin jointly to take action to make it happen. Annette feels the need for some protection. She buys this cheap pocket knife that you saw at Walmart, and she begins carrying it in her back pocket. The New Jersey tags on her car make her nervous. Wonder if I'm being tracked through my tablet, she thinks. Robin has told me that I need to write out the facts of the case, what I know about these kidnappers. I need to get this information out to the TBI, so she contacts Agent Clay Moore. She has multiple conversations with Mr. Moore over email. She borrows some money, and she goes and buys a new laptop because it will be very difficult for the kidnappers to trace that. With Robin by her side and in her ear, she writes out the facts for the agent, and you will see this manifesto, if you will, that was written to Clay Moore, this TBI agent who she came to trust with this information. Over a couple of weeks, there will be much that she needs to tell Agent Moore, and Robin is proud to help her with this important project, and she tells a neighbor so. In friendship, these women talk for hours at Robin's house in Johnson City. They smoke, and Robin drinks day after day, night after night. There are sleepovers. There is laughter and reminiscence and a yearbook and a picture that will tell you a lot. Through all the fog and fear, Annette manages to stay focused on her girls, and they are, as always, well cared for. But the paranoia is festering like a deep splinter, and soon an incident will change everything. You will come to recognize ladies and gentlemen, that delusional thinking encloses itself inside its victim like some kind of a tumor. Annette and Robin can both function to some extent outside their delusion. They can manage other stuff. They can grocery shop, they can drive, they can prepare meals and perform activities of daily living. The delusion can be suspended for periods of time, but it gets triggered and it keeps coming back and back and back with a vengeance. How terrified would you feel to be completely convinced that your innocent and precious child faces being kidnapped and forced into a life of bondage with an international ring of pedophiles? I hope none of you have tried to imagine that, but it's pretty frightening. Robin, the trusted friend, how would she have felt being paired with her friend in this imminent fight for survival? This was not drama. This was not seeking attention. For these ladies, they are sharing a nightmare together. They're in a foxhole together, and it is getting very real. It is utterly unthinkable that Robin would have this information, false as it is, but yet abandon her friend. They are in this together. They're bound together in fear and yet firm resolve to get help through law enforcement. Now, everyone in this life experiences adversity. Don't we know it? Robin and Annette are no exception. They suffered through tough times together and separately. We will not know why they bonded to the extent that they did and then turned to the tranquilizing effects of self-medication. Robin was running from something. Did she immerse herself in Annette's problems to find some purpose? We just don't know, but it is an outlier. It is an odd situation. Robin Leonard was a friend, though. She knew how to be a friend. She had students who enjoyed her classes. She was well liked. What then was driving her into alcohol abuse? COVID changed things for many people. Maybe for all of us. Courses at ETSU were being taught online, which would have allowed Robin to stay cocooned away in her house, under the radar, and it gave her an ability to stay out of view. She needed to keep her alcohol problem quiet. And yet, we will learn that on a couple of sort of dramatic occasions, she has her son on one occasion and Becky Lewis on another occasion drive her into the public eye where police officers are there while she's intoxicated, day and night, to help her friend. Annette's cause has clearly become her cause, without a doubt. It begins to change. Annette goes into a phase of full-blown anxiety. And she and the girls are fleeing kidnappers, and 911 is notified. Annette is unable to manage the call, and she asks her daughter.
This is one of the most important procedural moments in the entire case. Police recognize a mental health crisis and activate protocol, DCS, hospital evaluation, safety planning. The question jurors will wrestle with later is simple but devastating. Did the system do enough or just enough to let things spiral?
To manage the 911 call. The dispatcher says, you need to get to David Crockett High School. There will be officers there. You will be safe. She drives to David Crockett High School, where a ball game is underway. Clearly, Annette has no plan. She rushes into the gym, past a resource officer, and she falls to the floor, always keeping her eye out through the front windows so that she can see the chase vehicle. She cannot look away. She and her children need protection. The officer is calm and professional. He and his partner recognize quickly that what Annette is experiencing is not real. They activate the protocols that are called for in these situations. The Department of Children's Services is contacted. The on-call worker comes out. Before being transported to the hospital, Annette will agree for her children to go with a friend who she has not seen in 20 years, but has familiarity with, Becky Lewis. Annette is brought to Ballot Health for the express purpose of having her mental status examined and evaluated. For some reason that maybe Ballard can explain, Annette was permitted to simply decide that she was okay. She didn't need to see a doctor for evaluation. And she called Robin. Robin was too incapacitated, too intoxicated to drive, but she asked her son to drive her to the hospital to pick up Annette in that condition. Something that no one can ever figure out. A trained psychologist, a professor of psychology, goes to the hospital and picks up her best friend, knowing, or you would think she would know, is in desperate need of some attention. And in a strange twist, Becky has taken the children to Robin's house. So when Annette and Robin arrive back at the house, it is decided that Annette will spend the night. Well, Robin and Becky spend the night partying together, drinking. They do not seem to understand the danger that Annette sees. The children are vulnerable now more than ever. This is beginning to look like the fulfillment of Annette's worst fears. She fears for herself, for her children, and for Robin. Now the children can be tracked to Robin's. Now she cannot protect them. Her minister husband is a monster who will soon find the children at a place where she cannot protect them from abuse and murder. So in the early morning hours of that day, having heard what she believes to be conversations between Robin and Becky that increase her paranoia, she calls a Pastor Robbins with whom she has confided in the past. She's attended services before at his church. He tells her to leave. You have to get out of there. You have to protect yourself. In desperation, she climbs out the bedroom window, the children in tow, and she calls a cab and is taken to the home of Pastor Robbins. He turns her away. She is rejected. It's 4 a.m., roughly, on a Saturday morning. She's alone and she's scared. The cab driver does in fact become concerned that something is going on, and he calls 911. Dispatch advises him to find a convenience store. And within a short period of time, a Washington County Sheriff's deputy meets the cab at a Shell station in Boones Creek. After assessing the situation, it's determined that the children should go with Robin, who has come to the Shell station in a clearly intoxicated state. And you will see a video of that. This will be only the second time Annette has not been able to be physically present with her children. Now the state has her children, and they have given them over to someone who's impaired and unable to protect them. More crisis, more anxiety, more stress, more adversity. The challenge now for Robin and Annette to work through this becomes more difficult for them to navigate. These are treacherous waters, and neither of them are equipped mentally to find safe passage. Robin has now assumed responsibility for two girls at a point when she is struggling with alcohol and drugs, and she's finally realizing that Annette has been suffering a break of sorts from reality. This alone must have been heartbreaking and very difficult for them both. Robin is having to confront her friend's slippage into delusion while recognizing that she herself had slipped into the same delusion. That has to have been difficult. On Sunday, Annette goes to Robin's house well before 3 o'clock, when Becky will be there to pick up the children. This is the day before Becky suffers, Robin suffers the...
And here comes the battlefield line. The prosecution says this was rage, a tantrum. The defense says that theory collapses under scrutiny. This is where trials are won or lost, not in what happened, but in why it happened. What explanation fits the evidence, and what explanation feels too easy?
The knife injuries, and Annette is struck in the head with a bat. The day before, there is nothing, no confrontation. There's no reason for anger. There's no reports of anger or confrontation of any kind. They successfully negotiated through that patch on that day. The next morning will be much different. Now, it's apparent at this point that the state will take the position and theorize that the fight that took place in this case, or the confrontation that took place in this case, is as simple as a temper tantrum. That's what their theory is, that Annette Harvey just blew up into a temper tantrum, decided she was going to have her own way, and was going to go over and assault and kill her own friend, her best friend. That's their theory. And yet, the evidence to support that is almost non-existent. I'm going to leave this opening statement at this time because I don't want to be someone who speculates for you. I don't want to be someone who develops a theory for you. All I can ask is that you pay careful attention to the details of the case and try to put yourself into the mind of Robin Leonard, to try to put yourself into the mind of Annette Harvey, and reach a conclusion in this case that does honor to your oath as a juror and is supported by the law in its strictest form, as you have promised that you would do. Thank you for your time.